Good morning. So today I'm going to read Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson from chapter 73. I hope can you see? I made an offer. Twitter, April 2022. So yeah, let's go ahead. It's morning and you can enjoy the ASMR. Chapter 74 Hot and Cold Twitter April June 2022 The Deal I had more kids in Q2 than they made cars. Here, then he kept laughing loudly to himself. I mean, I love my own humor, even if others don't. And he said, I kill me. Around that time, the Wall Street Journal started working on a story about an alleged one night stand that Musk had with the uh, estranged wife of Google co-founder Sergey Brin a few months earlier. The rationale for the story was that it had harmed the relationships between the two men. Right after the story broke, they were at a party together and Musk maneuvered himself into a position where he could take a selfie with Brin, which Brin tried to avoid. Musk sent the picture to the New York Post to rebut the allegation that they had a falling out. The amount of attention on me has gone supernova, which super sucks, he tweeted. Unfortunately, even travel articles about me generate a lot of clicks. Will try my best to be heads down, focused on doing useful things for civilization. Keeping his head down, however, he did not come naturally. I think from here now on there is only tweets available. Sense of the father. Level 5 of Father's Day 2022 may have been the spookiest of them all. It involved Alice, his own estranged father, Errol Musk, in an email to Elon dated Father's Day. Errol wrote, I am sitting here freezing cold in hangar, wrapped in blankets and newspapers. There is no electricity. If I'm bothered to write to you like this, you can bother to read it. That was followed by a rambling screed in which he called Biden a freak criminal pedophile president who was out to destroy everything that the US stood for, including you. Black leaders in South Africa, he said, were engaged in anti-white racism. With no whites there, here, the blacks will go back to the trees. Vladimir Putin was the only world leader talking. He followed up with a subsequent email showing a picture of a stadium scoreboard saying Trump won, fuck Joe Biden, adding the comment, this is irrefutable. Errol's letter was starting on so many levels, most notably his racism, but one other aspect would have an unsettling resonance later the year. How conspirational he would become. He had gone down the alt-right rabbit holes of labeling Biden a pedophile and praising Putin, and in other posts and emails he denounced COVID as a lie, attacked COVID expert Anthony Fauci, and claimed that the vaccines were deadly positions Elon would later echo. His description of his cold and impoverished circumstances was meant as a rebuke to his son for no longer supporting him financially. Up until recently, Elon had been sending off an ad, varying amounts of monthly stipends. This began back in 2010, paying payments of $2,000 a month to help Errol support his younger children after his second divorce. Over the years, Elon would occasionally provide more funding, then cut back whenever Errol gave interviews, um, aggrandizing his own role in his son's success. When Errol had heart surgery in 2015, Elon's support was temporarily increased to $5,000 a month, but he cut off the funds after learning that Errol had impregnated Jenna, the stepdaughter he had raised from age 4, when Elon and Kimball considered a half-sister. At the end of March 2022, Errol wrote asking that his stipends be restored at 76. I cannot generate income easily. He wrote, the alternative for me is starvation and unbearable humiliation or death by suicide. Death by suicide does not worry me, but it should worry you. The truth is too well known. You will be ruined, make no mistake, and people will know who you really are or have become. He blamed Elon's attitude on the National Socialist cruel, self-serving, and cowardly maternal family background, adding he was the wickedness that was the Hellmans prevailed. Around the time of Father's Day, Elon assumed the $2,000 monthly payments, but his financial manager Jared Bitchell asked Aaron to stop making a series of YouTube videos titled Dad of a Genius that he had produced with a clinical psychologist. Errol reacted angrily. My silence to enable the devilish shit to continue breathing is not worth $2,000, he shot back. It's also wrong to silence me. I have much to teach people. As if following a preserved script, Father's Day 2022 brought one more complication to the situation. Errol revealed that he had uh, fathered a second child with Jenna, a daughter. The only thing we care on earth for is to reproduce, he said. If I could have another child, I would. I can't see any reason not to. Bonding attempts. Though, through all of the tumult in his personal life, Musk had one lovely steadying influence, Tallulah Riley, the English actress who married him in 2010 and after divorce and remarriage finally left him to return to Village England tranquility in 2015. She continued to feel warmly toward him, and Musk felt the same about her, though he was afflicted by preferring extreme heat and not cold rather than warmth in relationships. When a close friend of hers died in 2021, Musk flew to England and spent a day at her house. We just watched stupid TV and laughed and hung out, and he just made me laugh instead of cry, she says. And amid his personal and Twitter deal tumults in the early summer of 2022, she flew to Los Angeles and met him for dinner at the Beverly Hills Hotel. She traveled with her new boyfriend, the young actor Thomas Brody Sangster, to publicize a movie they had co-starred in Pistol about the pioneering punk rock band the Sex Pistols. But Brodical Sangsters did not come to the dinner. Instead, Musk and Riley were joined by his four older boys who had bonded with her over the years. I can't get over how completely gorgeous they all are, she texted me. Griffin is handsome, hilarious, and still utter charmer. Damian has blossomed into an incredibly sophisticated, beautiful soul. Kai is still a truly decent chap, and now so gorgeously geeky, and Saxon's language development is more than I could have possibly hoped for. We had full and detailed conversations, except at one point he said, "The interesting thing about you and Elon is you have a significant age gap, but you look the same." The reunion was very emotional. There was a part of her that still loved Musk. When she got back to her hotel room that night, Brody Sangster had to cope with her bursting into tears. Musk reacted to his family turmoil in the summer of 2022 by launching another search, this one fatherly. He took his four older boys along with Grimes and X to Spain to vacation with James and Elizabeth Murdoch and their children. James, a member of the Tesla board, is the liberal member of the Rupert Murdoch family, and Elizabeth is more so. They provided Musk with a calming personal influence and political counterbalance. A few weeks later, he and the boys went to Rome, where they were granted an audience with Pope Francis. Musk tweeted out a photo of the meeting, which showed him in an ill-fitting suit. Saxon twisted nervously, and the other boys dressed in black shirts and looking somber. "My suit is tragic," Musk admitted. When the boys woke up the next day, they were upset that their father had tweeted out the picture. One of them even cried. On a group chat they do with their father, even when traveling together, one asked him not to tweet out pictures of them without their permission. Musk got depressed, dropped out of the group chat, and few minutes later sent word that they were returning to the US. A house, not a home. Musk realized that it was difficult to have a stable family life if he didn't have a family home. So amid the domestic drama, in the summer of 2022, he started dreaming about a home of his own in Austin. He considered a few houses for sale but deemed them too expensive. Instead, he decided to build one on a sprawling horse farm with a tranquil lake that he had bought right across the Colorado River from Giga, Texas. He thought he might use parts of the property for Neuralink and his other companies. He walked the property one Saturday night with Grimes and Omid Afshar, who was in charge of building Gigatexes, and they came up with a variety of ideas, including that the boarding company could dig a tunnel under the river to connect the house and the factory. He also walked the property a few days later with Shivon Zilis. One thing I have had asking him about lovingly, it's finding a place he can call home. She says he needs a place where his soul resides, and that's what the horse farm will be for him. One afternoon, one hot afternoon in the summer of 2022, Musk sat under a pop-up canopy on the property with Lord Norman Foster, the architect who designed, among other things, the space-age circular headquarters of Apple for Steve Jobs. Foster had flown from London carrying his sketchpad to brainstorm with Musk. Sitting at a card table, Musk looked through some of Foster's sketches, then began free associating ideas. It should be like something fell off out of space, like a structure from another galaxy landed in the lake, Musk said. Birchall Call, who was with them, googled images of futuristic buildings with while Foster made more sketches in his notebook. Maybe, Musk suggested, a shard of glass coming out of the lake. The bottom floor could be partly submerged in the water, accessible by a tunnel from another structure on the shore. I later commented that it did not actually seem like a family home. Musk agreed. It's more an art project than a house. He explained. He put off building it. Starbase shakeup. SpaceX 2022 76. Inspecting the Raptor engines under a Starship booster. Showing off Starship. Oh, this one is very much long. What is this? Optimus Prime. Tesla 2021-2022. SpaceX 2022. Showing off Starship. Always vigilant against complacency, Musk decided in early 2022 that it was time for another surge in Boca Chica. It had been 6 months since he had pushed Andy Krebs and the team in South Texas to stack Space Starship on the launchpad. Now he wanted to have a public presentation of the rocket. This time the two stages would be stacked by Mikazila's chopstick sounds. Bill Riley warned that it would be hard to get this done before the end of February, so Musk used Twitter as a forcing mechanism. He tweeted out that there would be a public showing of Starship at 8 p.m. on Thursday, February 10, 2022. The night of the presentation, he had dinner at Flaps, the funky casual restaurant for SpaceX employees. Joining him were three of NASA's top directors, all women: Janet Petro of the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral, Lisa Watson Morgan of the Human Landing System Program, and Vanessa Weich of Johnson Space Center in Houston. X toddled up the table and started eating blue cheese dip with a fork. Musk joked that X served as his cuteness prop. Petro whispered to me, "I am suppressing my maternal instincts," but she finally succumbed and took the fork away from him, handing him a spoon instead. He's fearless, Musk says. He could probably use more fear instincts. It's genetic, yes, but it was also the result of the free-range way Musk was brought him up. It's not in Musk's nature to be doting, Falcon 9 said, X pointing in distance. No, this father, corrected him. Starship 1098, X said. People say he's so smart to be able to count backwards, Musk said, but I'm not sure he can count forward. Musk asked the NASA guest whether they had children, and their responses prompted him to give his thoughts once again on how declining birth rates are a threat to the future of human consciousness. Among my friends, the average number of kids is one, he said. Some have zero. I try to set a good example. He didn't mention that he had just 3 more children. The conservation turned to China, which was the only entity that was launching as many orbital missions as SpaceX. NASA itself was not even in the game. If China gets to the moon before week 2 again, it will be a Sputnik moment. He told the NASA directors it's going to be in a shock when we wake up and realize they got to the moon while we were suing each other. He said that when he visits China, he is often asked how that country can be more innovative. The answer I gave is to challenge authority. Later that night, a crowd of a few thousand workers, reporters, government officials, and locals gathered in front of the stacked starship lit by spotlights. There have to be things that inspire you, that move your heart, Musk said in his speech. Being a spacefaring civilization, making science fiction not fiction, is one of those. During the presentation, I sat on the side with Krebs, who had not yet decided to leave SpaceX, and when we talked about how he had survived being in the line of Musk's fire at his spot 7 months earlier, when I asked whether it was worth it, he nodded up at Mechazilla. Every time I see the tower, my heart soars, he said. After the presentation, Musk wandered over a group gathered at the Tiki Bar behind the main Starbase building. After a few minutes, the inspiration for astronaut Jared Isaacman, who had flown his own high-performance jet in for the presentation, joined the group. Isaacman has a quietly confident humility that relaxes Musk. It was good, he remarked, that Musk decided not to go to space himself after Branson and Bezos did. That would have been strike 3, he said. It would have looked like billionaire boys' narcissism. We were one strike away from Americans saying screw space. Yes, Musk said with a rueful laugh. It was better to send our 4 people out of central casting. Jolting the team, the Starlink satellites being built in Seattle were beginning to pile up. In July 2022, Falcon 9 rockets were launching from Cape Canaveral at least once a week, each flight carrying about 50 Starlinks into orbit. But Musk had been counting on the mammoth Starship to be regularly launching by then from the pad in Boca Chica. As usual, he had been unrealistic about schedules. Do you want me to send a few people down to Boca? Asked Mark Juncosa, who had moved to Seattle to oversee Starlink production. Yes, Musk replied. You should go there as well. It was time for a management shakeup. By the beginning of August, Juncosa was sweeping around the assembly line tents in Boca Chica like a whirlwind kicking up dust. Juncosa is blessed with a lot of Musk craziness. With his wild hair and even wilder eyes, he jumps around the spins his phone in a way that creates a high energy field around him. He is quite charismatic in a goofy hard-ass way, Musk says. He can tell people they are fucking up and their idea sucks, but do it in a way that doesn't make them mad. He is my Mark Anthony. Musk and Juncosa liked the team in Boca Chica, especially Riley and Patel, but felt they were not tough enough. Bill is a great person, but he has a hard time giving anyone negative feedback and just can't fire anyone. Musk told me SpaceX President Gwynne Shotwell felt the same about Patel, who had overseen the building of the facilities. Sam works his ass off, she said, but he doesn't know how to give Elon bad news. Sam and Bill are chickens. Musk held a video call with the Starship team on August 4 from a conference room at Giga Texas, where he was preparing for the annual Tesla shareholder meeting that afternoon. As they walked him through slides, he got increasingly angry. These timelines are bullshit, a mega fail, he explained. Like, no fucking way these should take so long. He decreed that they would start having meetings on Starship every night, 7 days a week. We are going to, we are going to go. We are going to go through the first principles algorithm every night, questioning requirements and deleting. He said that's what we did to unfuck the bullshit that was Raptor. How soon, he asked, would it take to get a booster onto the launch pad to test the engines? 10 days, he was told. That's too long, he replied. This is critical for all human destiny. It's hard to change destiny. You can't just do it from 9 to 5. Then he abruptly ended up the meeting. See you guys tonight, he said to the Boca Chica team. I have got a Tesla shareholder meeting this afternoon and I haven't even seen the slides yet. The tiki bar break-in. When Musk arrived in Boca Chica from Austin late that night after conducting a Tesla shareholder meeting that resembled a fan club convention, he went right to the Starbase conference room where the team had regathered. It looked like a scene out of Star Wars. Musk brought along X, who despite the late hour was fully charged and ran around the table shouting rockets. Also, there was Grimes, who had dyed her hair pink and green, Juncosa and grown an even wilder beard. Shortwell had flown in from Los Angeles to help manage the personal shakeup. A no-nonsense morning person, she commented that it was past her bedtime. The only other woman along the dozen or so at the table was Shanna Dees at MIT, aeronautics engineer who had worked at SpaceX for 14 years and having impressed Musk with her plain-spoken competence, was now director of Starship Engineering. Filing out the table were the other members of the team: Bill Riley, Joe Pezzi, Zilka, Andy Krebs, Jack McKenzie, all wearing the standard uniform of jeans and a black t-shirt. Musk again pushed them to get a booster on the launchpad to test the engines as soon as possible. 10 days would be too long. He was particularly interested in determining how important the heat shields around the engines were. He was always looking for ways to delete parts, especially those that added mass to the booster. It doesn't seem like we need shields in all those places, he said. I went out there with a flashlight and the heat shields are blocking things so you can't see jack shit. The meeting mended as his tend to do, and before they could agree on a timetable for the test, they had lapsed into discussing the Quentin Tarantino movie True Romance. After more than an hour, Shortwell tried to bring it to a conclusion. What have we decided? She asked. The answer was not exactly clear. Musk was staring off into the distance, thinking everyone had seen this trance before. At some point, after processing the information on his own, he would issue a pronouncement, but it was now after 1 a.m. and the engineers gradually drifted away, leaving Musk to think alone. As the participants wandered out of the conference room and into the parking lot, they gravitated around Juncosa, who was spinning his phone holding cord and clearly not ready to retire to his Airstream retailer for the night. In addition to being pumped up, he knew that the troops were unnerved by the personal shakeup that was brewing and could use some rallying. Like a high school team captain who knew just what level of nightness was appropriate, he proposed that they break into the nearby employee tiki bar and throw a party using a credit card to Jimmy the Lock. He had a dozen followers into the bar and designed one of them to start pouring beer, McLean Scotch, and Eliza Craig small batch bourbon. If we get in trouble, we can blame it all on you, Jack, he said. pointing at Mackenzie, the youngest, shyest, and least likely of them to break into a bar. Without Musk around, Jankosa was able to loosen everyone up but also impart a few lessons. He made fun one of them of for being hesitant to tell Musk that a testing facility wasn't going to be ready on time, and then danced around him, flapping his elbows and making chicken sounds. When a young engineer tried to impress him by describing his adventures as an extreme skier, Jankosa whipped out his phone and showed a video of himself skiing wildly in Alaska as he outtrained in advance. "Is that really you?" the odd engineer asked. "Yes," Jankosa replied. "You got to take the risk. You got to love taking risk." Around that time, 3:24 a.m. to be precise, my phone buzzed with a text message from Musk, who was still awake in his little house a mile away. The prior schedule for the booster was 10 days. To pad, it read, "However, I'm 90% sure that we will discover our next showstopper development issue without needing B7 to complete." I showed it to Mackenzie to decipher, and he showed it to Junkosa. They became silent for a moment. What it meant was that Musk had processed what he heard in the meeting and decided that they would not wait 10 days to move the booster known as B7 to the launch pad for testing. They would do it before they installed 33D engines. Musk followed up moments later with further details. "One way or another, we are going to put B7 back on the launch mount by midnight tonight or sooner." In other words, they would do it in 1 day, not 10 days. He had ordered yet another surge. High bay. That morning, after a few hours of sleep, Musk went to one of the high bay assembly buildings wearing his Occupy Mars black t-shirt to watch as Booster 7 was outfitted with a Raptor engine. Climbing a steep industrial ladder, he clambered onto a platform beneath the booster. It was crammed with cables, engine parts, tools, swinging chains, and at least 40 people working shoulder to shoulder as they attached engines and welded shrouds. Musk was the only one not wearing a helmet. "Why is that part needed?" he asked one of the veteran engineers, Cale Ordner, who took Musk's presence in stride, giving matter-of-fact answers while continuing his work. Musk's inspection visits to the assembly areas are so frequent that the workers barely pay attention to him unless he gives them orders or asks a question. "Why can't that be done faster?" is one of his favorites. Sometimes he just stands and stares in silence for 4 or 5 minutes. After more than an hour, he climbed down from the platform and then ran lumbering the 200 yard across a parking lot, the canteen. I think he does that so everyone can see how much he's hustling. Andy Craig said. I later asked Musk if that was his reason. "No," he laughed. "I did it because I forgot to put on sunscreen and didn't want to get burned." But then he added, "It's true that if they see the general out of the battlefield, the troops are going to motivate him. Whenever Napoleon was, that's where his armies would do best. Even if I don't do anything but show up, they would look at me and say that at least I wasn't spending all night partying." Apparently, he had found out about the tiki bar escapade. Shortly after midnight, the deadline Musk had set struck with the upright booster started moving the half-mile down the road in Boca Chica from the assembly highway to the launch site. Crimes drove over from their little house to witness the spectacle, with X, who danced around the slowly moving rocket when the booster got to the launch area and is placed upright on the pad. It made a dramatic scene, glistening under an almost full moon. All was going well until a line broke loose and hydraulic fluid, a mix of oil and water, started spraying over this area. Everyone got doused, including Grimes and X. She was initially freaked out that it was some toxic chemical, but Musk told her not to worry. "I love the smell of hydraulic fluid in the morning," he said, echoing a line from Apocalypse Now. X likewise was unfazed even when Grimes rushed him back to the house of out to bath. I felt like he's developing a higher than average tolerance for danger, Musk said, showing only the tiniest bit of self-awareness. He added. His tolerance for danger is almost problematic, honestly. Optimus Prime. It's like it is directly from the movie. Optimus unveiled. Oh my god. Oh, I'm tired of it. Human touch. When Musk announced his plans to build Optimus in August 2021, an actress dressed in a white body suit tottered around the stage, emulating a robot. A few days later, Tesla's design chief, Franz von Holzhausen, convened a group to begin building the real thing, a robot that could emulate a human. Musk gave one directive: it was to be a humanoid robot. In other words, it was supposed to look like a person rather than a mechanical contraption with wheels or four legs like Boston Dynamics and others were making. Most workspace and tools are designed to accommodate that the way humans do things. So Musk believed that a robot should approximate human forms in order to operate naturally. We want to make it as human as possible, Walls Halson told the 10 engineers and designers seated around his conference table, but we can also add improvements to what humans can do. They started with the hand. Von Halshausen picked up a power drill and they studied how the fingers and heel of the palm interacted with it. At first, it seemed sensible to consider making a hand with four fingers, since the pinky didn't seem necessary. Pinky, 1, 2, 3, 4. But in addition to looking creepy, that turned out not to be quite as functional. Instead, they decided to elongate the pinky so that it was more useful. But they also did one simplification. They could make each finger with two joints, not three. 1, 2, 3. They have only read 1 and 2. Another improvement was to make the bottom of the palm longer so that it could wrap around a power tool, relieving the thumb from bearing as much of the load. That would make Optimus' hand more powerful than a human's. They also considered even more innovative bionic tactics, such as having strong magnets in the tip of each finger. That idea was rejected. Too many devices could get messed up by magnets. Perhaps the fingers could flap away from the palm, not just toward it. Maybe the wrist should be able to hinge farther back as well as forward. Everyone at the table started flapping their hands and wrists around to see what that would mean. That would be useful if the robot needed to push against a wall, said von Holzhausen. It could do without putting pressure on fingers. Someone suggested that the hand could be made to go so far back that the fingers touch the arm. That would allow the arm to apply pressure to something without the hand even being involved. Wow, said von Holzhausen, but people would get a bit freaked out. Let's not go that far. Now the challenging part. Von Holzhausen said near the end of the 2-hour meeting, how do we make this sausage look good? He doled out assignments for what they would show Musk at the weekly review meetings. Start with figuring out what the fingers will look like and how they will taper, especially since we are going to elongate the pinky. Elon wants feminine tapers for the fingers. Young Frankston. Human bodies, Musk and his engineers discovered, are amazing. For example, at one of the weekly meetings, they discussed how our fingers not only apply pressure to things, they also could feel pressure. How could they best make Optimus fingers assess pressure? We could look at the current in the actuator of the finger joint, which will correlate to the pressure being applied to the tip. One engineer suggested another thought of putting capacitors in the fingertips, like on a touch screen, or perhaps a barometric pressure sensor or chip embedded in rubber, or even a tiny camera inside a gel fingertip. What are the differences in cost? One Holzhausen asked. They decided that measuring the pressure using current flow in the actuator of the joint could be most effective because it wouldn't add parts. No matter how hectic his schedule, Musk tried to make the weekly Optimus design sessions. For one of them in February, he was at the VIP room in the Miami Marlins Stadium attending a listening party hosted by Kanye West, known as Ye, for his new album Donda 2. He was standing with rappers French Montana and Rick Ross eating tacos and talking about cryptocurrency when he got a text from Umaid Afshar reminding him about the 9 p.m. Optimus meeting. Musk dialed in, leaving his phone camera on, unintentionally allowing the Optimus team to witness the party in the background. Member of Ye's VIP pose gave Musk curious glance as he paced around the room, wiggling his fingers and discussing the number of actuators that would be needed to give Optimus hands enough dexterity. It needs to be able to pick up a pencil from any signal. Musk said. One rapper in the background nodded and started wiggling his fingers. Sometimes the Optimus meeting rambled on for more than 2 hours as Musk considered ideas large and small. Maybe the robots could swap their arms with different tools. Someone suggested. Musk rejected that. At another meeting, he asked whether there should be a screen where the face would be. It can be display only, he said. It doesn't need to be a touch screen, but you should be able to know what it's doing from afar. They decided it was a good idea, but not necessary for the first iteration of Optimus. The discussions often elicited Musk's futuristic fantasies. The team prepared a video simulation of Optimus working in a colony on Mars, which led to a lengthy discussion about whether the robots on Mars would be working on their own or under the direction of human supervisors. Von Holzhausen tried to bring things back to Earth. I think the Mars simulation is fun, he finally interjected, but we should do one that shows the robots working in one of our factories, maybe performing the repetitive task that no one wants to do. At another meeting, they discussed whether they could put an Optimus in the driver's seat of a robotaxi to meet the legal requirements of a car needing a driver. Do you remember the original Blade Runner movie did something like that? Musk said. Also, the most recent Cyberpunk game, he liked taking the fiction out of the science fiction. Other ideas seemed more influenced by the silly side of Musk's limbic system. Maybe we should have the larger charger cord plug into the butt. He joked at one point. After a few loud laughs, he rejected the idea. The giggle factor would be too high, and he said, for humans, our faces are a big deal. This is reminding me of young Frankenstein, he said at one point, referring to the Mel Brooks movie parody. It's epic, but that triggered a more serious discussion of how to make sure that the robots did not turn into monsters, which was the original impulse that led Musk into the field of artificial intelligence and robotics. At one meeting, he went over the stop command path
which could give a human the ultimate power to override a robot. There can't be a scenario where somebody could gain access to mentorship and takes control of the robots in a way that's malicious, he said, ruling out of the use of any electronic signals that could be hacked. Citing Asimov's rules of robotics, he game planned strategies that would allow humans to prevail over deadly robot armies. Even as he envisioned futuristic scenarios, Musk focused on making Optimus a business. By June 2022, the team had completed a simulation of robots carrying boxes around a factory. He liked the fact that, as he put it, our robots are going to work harder than humans work. He came to believe that Optimus would become a main driver of the Tesla profits. The Optimus humanoid robot, he told an analyst, has the potential to be more significant than the vehicle business. With these profits in mind, Musk pushed the Optimus team to create a detailed chart of any functionality they wanted and the cost of manufacturing it at scale. For example, one spreadsheet looked at the three ways a human wrist can move. It can wave the hand up and down, move it to the left or right, or rotate. Achieving two of these degrees of freedom, the engineers calculated would mean that each wrist would cost $712 each wrist. Adding extra actuators to achieve 3 degrees of freedom would bring the cost of $1103. Musk marveled as he studied the ways his wrist could move and which muscles were involved. He then said the robot should have the same capability as a human. The answer is we want the 3 degrees of freedom. So we have to figure out how we get there more efficiently, he said. This is a shitty design. I eyeball it and it looks terrible. Use the damn lift-gate actuators from our cars, which we know how to make cheaply. Every week he went over to the most recent timetables and expressed, often rather strongly, his dissatisfaction. Pretend we are a startup about to run out of money, he said. At one of these sessions, faster, faster, please mark any time a date has slipped. All bad news should be given loudly and often. Good news can be said quietly and once. Oh my god. Walking. One of the most difficult challenges was getting Optimus to walk. X was then almost 2 and learning to do the same, and Musk kept comparing how humans and machines learn. At first, kids walk flat-footed, then they begin walking on their toes, but they still walk like a monkey, he said. It takes them quite a while before they walk like an adult. The gait is rather complicated. In March, the team opened their weekly meeting with a video celebrating a milestone, the first steps on the ground. By April, they had conquered the next level, getting Optimus to walk while carrying a box. But we have not been able to coordinate the arms and legs to keep it in balance, an engineer said. One problem was that they had to swivel for the robot to see its surroundings. If we put in several cameras, Musk suggested we won't need to swivel the head. Musk brought some toys, including a robot that could follow a person with its eyes and another that could break turns. To one of the design reviews in the mid-July, he believed that toys could offer lessons. A little model car had inspired him to make real cars. Make real cars using big casting presses, for example, and Legos, helped him understand the importance of precision manufacturing. Optimus was standing in the middle of the workshop, supported by a gantry. It slowly walked around him and deposited a box it was carrying. Musk then took the joystick controller and guided Optimus to pick up the box and hand it to Van Holzen. After Optimus finished, Musk gave a gentle push to its chest to see if it would fall over. The stabilizers work. It stayed upright. Musk nodded appreciatively and shot some video of Optimus. Whenever Elon pulls out of his phone to take a video, you know that you have impressed him. Lars Morvises. Afterward, Musk announced that they would hold a public demonstration that would feature Optimus, full self-driving and Dojo. In all of these, he said, we are tackling the huge task of creating an artificial general intelligence. Artificial General Intelligence, AGI. The event would be at Tesla's Palo Alto headquarters on September 30, 2022 and be called AI Day. His design team created a logo that showed Optimus touching together its beautifully tapered fingers to form the shape of a heart. Uncertainty. Twitter, July to September 2022. Ari Emanuel housing Musk down in Mykonos, Alex Spiro. The Terminator. Unsure what he wanted to do about Twitter, Musk asked for 3 operations in June 2022. Plan A was to proceed as agreed with a $44 billion purchase. Plans B and C involved trying to reprise the deal or to get out of it entirely somehow. To help do the financial modeling for those options, he brought in Bob Swan, a former CEO of eBay and Intel and a partner at the venture capital firm Andreessen Horowitz, which was investing in Musk's offer. Okay, this is 79. Okay, so I was thinking that I was about to read 500, but chapter, if I read chapter 79, then it would be complete 500. Chapter 80, Robotaxi. Okay, then let's begin. Okay. The problem was that Swan, a straight shooter, was committed to Plan A. He felt there was no real justification for getting out of the deal. He accepted most of the numbers in Twitter's proxy statement, applied to a bit of discount, and presented a somewhat rosy financial model. Musk convinced that the world was entering a recession and that Twitter was misstating its bot problem, challenged Swan angrily. If you can present this to me with a straight face, then you are probably not the guy for the job, he said. Swan had been too successful to be treated that way. Since I presented this to you with a straight face, you are right. He responded, I'm probably not the right guy for the job, and he quit. Once again, Musk put in a call to his close friend and early Tesla investor Antonio Gracias, whose SWAT team had uncovered the problems at Tesla in 2007. Gracias was vacationing in Europe with some of his kids when the call came. You said when you left the Tesla board that I should call you if I need help. Musk reminded him. Gracias agreed to put together a team to do a deep dive on Twitter's finances. Gracias felt he needed to enlist an independent investment bank to help sort through the proper valuation and capital structure. He talked to his friend Robert Steele of Perella Weinberg Partners, who in his straightforward way asked Musk directly his goal was to get out of buying Twitter or to buy Twitter at a lower price. Musk said he wanted the latter option. That was true, at least most of the time, but he was constrained both legally and psychologically from saying something even truer, namely that there were some mornings and some nights when he felt that he may have stumbled up onto a fool's errand and would be happy if the whole thing went away. Steele had an interesting insight about Musk. When most clients are given 3 or 4 options, they will ask which one the banker recommends. Musk instead asked detailed questions about each option but did not solicit a recommendation. He liked to make his own decision. When Musk demanded the raw data and methodology for determining how many real users it had, Twitter provided floods of data in formats that his team deemed almost unusable. Musk used this as a pretext for trying to withdraw from the deal. For nearly 2 months, Mr. Musk has sought the data and information necessary to make an independent assessment of the prevalence of fake or spam accounts, his lawyers wrote. Twitter's resistance meant that Musk was exercising his right to terminate the merger agreement. Twitter's management responded by using Musk in Delaware's Chenery court, charging that he refuses to honor his obligation to Twitter and its stakeholders because the deal he signed no longer served his personal interest. Chancellor Kathleen McCormick set a trial for October. Musk business manager Jared Bitchell and lawyer Alex Spiro tried to restrain him from sending text and tweets that would undermine his case by suggesting that the reason he wanted out of the deal was because advertising was collapsing and the economy declining. "I'm calling him right now to tell him no more tweeting," Spiro told Bitchell one day, but Spiro was an overmatched lion tamer. Within 10 minutes, Musk sent a barrage of tweets that most seemed designed to spite his legal team. "So much for the conversation about tweeting," Bitchell told Spiro. Even Musk's wacky unrelated tweets became a problem. "I'm buying Manchester United, you're welcome," he posted in August. Bitchell called Spiro to ask if the SEC might see that as an improper disclosure. "Is he really going to?" Spiro asked. It turned out that Musk was just riffing on a meme about how Manchester United fans were always begging people to buy the team. Spiro made him send a follow-up tweet. "No, this is a long-running joke on Twitter. I'm not buying any sports teams." Ari Emanuel wades in. Ari Emanuel is often referred to as a Hollywood superagent, but by 2022 he had become more than that. He was the CEO of Endeavor, a sprawling entertainment enterprise, and he was so plugged in that he never ran out of energy. With his high-pitched and fast-paced ability to connect people and drop F-bombs talents shared with his brothers Ram and Zeke, he exulted in dipping his fingers in very interesting pie. After the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, he decided that he didn't want to be giving the Saudis more oil money. So he traded in his Ferrari for a paid Prius. But he hated the car. It was too pimpy. He was looking for someone who would actually make a great electric vehicle, and that's when he read about Musk. "I do what I normally do, which is create serendipity. Serendipity. I called him up and said, 'I want to meet you.' We were just two young pishers trying to fucking figure it out, and we became friends." Emmanuel put it in an order for a Tesla Roadster because I wanted to fucking get out of that goddamn Prius, and ended up in 2008 taking delivery of the 11th one. He still has it. In May 2022, Musk flew to Saint-Tropez, France for the celebrity-packed San Didi Combs, Emily Ratajkowski, Tyler Perry, wedding of Emmanuel, and fashion designer Sarah Storinger. The Cannes Film Festival made it a hot time to be on Riviera. Musk met for lunch with Natasha Bassett, the Australian actress who was with him in Hawaii a month later when he decided to go hostile on Twitter. Curb Your Enthusiasm comedian Larry David, who was officiating at the wedding, was at Musk's table, and when they sat down, David seemed to be fuming. "Do you just want to murder kids in schools?" he asked Musk. No, Musk shuddered, both baffled and annoyed. "I'm anti-kid murder." "Then how could you vote Republican?" David asked. David confirms that he confronted Musk. His tweets about voting Republican because Democrats were the party of division and hate were sticking in my craw, he says. Even if you won't never happened. I probably would have brought it up because I was angry and offended. MSNBC's Joe Scarborough was also at the table, and David described the encounter to him. Scarborough found it all pretty amusing. I had to tell Ari I was not being a fan of Elon, so he seated me with him. He laughs. Elon stayed pretty quiet. For this part, Emmanuel says he wasn't trying to stir up trouble. I actually thought that would be a great table. It ended up being microcosm of Twitter. There was another issue at the wedding. Among the guests was Egon Durban, a venture capitalist who was a big Twitter shareholder and on its board. Musk was angry because he said Durban had bad-mouthed him to Morgan Stanley's CEO James Gorman. Emmanuel tried to repair the damage at the wedding. "You are being a fucking fool," he told Durban. "Go over and talk to him." They had a 20-minute conversation during which, according to Musk, he tried to kiss my ring. But their tension did not get resolved. A deal-maker by nature, Emmanuel offered to facilitate back-channel negotiations between Musk and Twitter's board. He asked Musk how much he would be willing to pay for Twitter. Perhaps there was a discount to be negotiated below the $44 billion that the board had accepted. Musk suggested perhaps half that price. Neither Durban nor the rest of the Twitter board thought that even merited a response. Emmanuel tried to jumpstart the negotiations again in July when he invited Musk to come to a vacation house he did in Mykonos, Greece. Musk flew from Austin and spent 2 days, which were made memorable when he was photographed on a yacht looking pale and blubbery alongside Emmanuel, who looked preternaturally trim and tanned. Musk told Emmanuel that he might be willing to strike a deal with Twitter rather than proceed with the October trial in Delaware. Emmanuel again called Durban, who was not in favor of trying to negotiate a lower price, but some other board members were eager to see if there was a way to avoid the bloody battle, and so they let informal settlement talks begin. Going for it, Musk's negotiation with Twitter to lower the price of the deal did not get far. The company made some proposals that could have reduced the $44 billion price by about 4%, but Musk insisted that the reduction had to be more than 10% before he would consider it. At certain moments it seemed there might be ways to get the two sides closer, but there was an additional problem. If the deal was restructured or repriced, it would be allow the banks that had committed to provide loans to renegotiate the terms. The commitments had been made when interest rates were low, so the new interest rates they would charge might wipe out my savings. There was also a more emotional obstacle. Twitter's executives and board members insisted that the renegotiated deal must protect them from future lawsuits from Musk. "We are never going to give them a legal release," Musk said. "We will hunt every single one of them till the day they die." Throughout September, Musk was on the phone with his lawyers, Alex Spiro and Mike Ringler, 3 or 4 times a day. Some days he was in an aggressive mood and insisted that they could fight and win the case in Delaware. Revelations from a whistleblower and others had inflamed his conviction that Twitter had been lying about the number of bots. "They are shitting bricks about the dumpster fire they are in," he said of the Twitter board. "I cannot believe that the judge will railroad the deal through. It would not pass muster with the public." At other times, he thought they should go through with the deal and then sue the Twitter board and management for fraud. Perhaps he would even be able to claw back some of his purchase price from them later. "The problem," he said angrily, "is that the board members own so little of the stock that recovering from them would be difficult. His lawyers finally convinced him at this end of the September that he would lose the case if they took it to trial. It was best just to close the deal to the original terms, 54.20 a share, $54 billion in total. By that point, Musk had regained some of his enthusiasm about talking over the company. Arguably, I should just pay full price because these people running Twitter are such blockheads and idiots, he told me in the late September. Its stock its stock was 70 last year. With such a ship of fools, the potential is so great, there are so many things I could fix. He agreed to an official closing of the deal in October. Once it was clear that the deal was going through, Ari Emanuel came back to Musk in a 3-paragraph message sent to the encrypted text service Signal with a proposal. Let him and his agency Endeavor run Twitter. For a fee of $100 million, he said he would take charge of cutting costs, creating a better culture, and managing relations with advertisers and marketers. We'd operate it, but he would tell us what he wanted and be in charge of all the engineering and technical stuff. Emmanuel says, we do a ton of business with advertisers and it's not like we haven't done this before, Bridgel called it the most insulting, demeaning, insane message. Musk was more sanguine and polite. He valued his friendship with Emmanuel. Look, I appreciate the offer, he said, but Twitter is a tech company, a programming company. Emmanuel countered that they could just hire the tech people, but Musk gave him a firm no. He had a core belief that you could not separate engineering from product design. In fact, product design should be driven by engineers. The company like Tesla and SpaceX should be engineering led at all levels. There was another thing that Emmanuel did not understand. Musk wanted to run Twitter himself, just as he was doing with Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, Neuralink, etc. Optimus unveiled. Tesla September 2022. X shakes hands with Optimus's Milan Kovac and Anand Swaminathan watch. Hair on fire. My psychic health goes in waves, Musk said as he flew from Austin to Silicon Valley on Tuesday, September 27. To get ready for AI Day 2, the big public presentation he had promised of Tesla's artificial intelligence work, self-driving cars, and the launch of Optimus the robot. It's bad when there is extreme pressure, but if a lot of things start going right, it's also not great for my psychic health. A lot was hitting him that week. He was scheduled to give depositions in the Delaware court case seeking to force him to close the Twitter deal, an SEC investigation, and a lawsuit challenging his Tesla compensation. He was also worried about controversies over the use of Starlink satellites in Ukraine, difficulties in reducing Tesla's supply chain dependence on China, a Falcon 9 launch of 4 astronauts, including one Russian woman cosmonaut, to the International Space Station of West Coast launch the same day of a Falcon 9 carrying 52 Starlink satellites, and sundry personal issues regarding children, girlfriends, and former wives. Musk sublimated stress in a variety of ways, coziness being one. On the flight west, he became excited by his latest idea for a swag they could sell, a perfume with the scent of synced human hair. When he landed, he called Steve Davies, his CEO at the Boring Company, who had previously executed Musk's idea to sell a toy flamethrower, burnt hair perfume. Musk said, imagining the marketing pitch, do you like that smell you experienced after the flamethrower? We have that scent for you. Davis was always eager to indulge Musk. He sent out a request to Scent Labs, saying the first to match the smell would get the contract. When the Boring Company offered it on its website, the Musk tweeted, please buy my perfume so I can buy Twitter. Within a week, it sold out 30,000 orders for $100 a piece. When he got at Tesla headquarters, he went a market shift stage, a cavernous showroom that was being radiated for that Friday's AI T2, an almost finished version of Optimus was dangling from a gantry ready to practice. When an engineer shouted, "Activate!" and another pushed a red button that started Optimus walking, it shuffled to the front of the stage, paused, and waved its hand like a serenade monologue. For the next hour, the team put Optimus through its paces 24 times. The sight of it getting to the edge of the stage, stopping, looking around, and then waving became mesmerizing. After its last recruit circuit X walked up to the Optimus and touched its fingers. The engineer directing the practice session was Milan Kovac. "I think I have PTSD," he said. "After last time, it's really hard to stay composed." I realized that he was the engineer who was the target of Musk's fury a year earlier during the rehearsal for AI Day 1 because his slides were deemed to be too boring. After that incident, he brooded for weeks about quitting, but I decided that the mission was too important, he says. As AI Day Tour approached in September 2022, Kovac walked up the courage to raise with Musk the topic of the run-in they had a year earlier. Musk looked at him blankly. "You remember how you hated my planned presentation and kept telling me how horrible it was?" Kovac asked. "And everyone was worried I had quit." Musk continued to stare blankly. He didn't remember. The AI Day rehearsal. After the day had been photographed looking blubbery during his 2-day Greek vacation with Ari Emanuel, Musk decided to go on the diet drug Ozempic and follow an intermittent fasting diet, eating only one meal per day. That meal, in his case, was a late breakfast, and his version of the diet allowed him to charge as he pleased for that. At 11 a.m. on Wednesday, he went to the Palo Alto Creamery, a retro ship diner, and ordered a bacon cheese barbecue burger with sweet potato fries and an Oreo and a cookie Duff ice cream milkshake. X helped by eating some of the fries. Wow. Without X, I don't think so he would be able to finish. Then he visited Neuralink Lab in a strip mall in Fremont, where he focused on the mechanics and signals involved in walking, donning lab coats and shoe covers. Siobhan Zillis, DJ Sue, and Jeremy Barinholtz brought him into a windowless room where a pig named Mint was walking on a treadmill and being rewarded by apple slices dipped in honey. Every few moments, he was given a jolt to make his muscles twitch. They were trying to decode what actuators were involved in the act of walking. Let's take a break. Okay, I'm back. They were trying to decode what actuators were involved in the act of walking. When Musk arrived at Tesla headquarters, the engineers there were also focused on walking. In preparation for the unveiling of Optimus scheduled for the following night, they had programmed the robot to take slightly shorter strides because the presentation stage was smoother than the concrete floor of their workshop. But Musk liked the longer stride and started mimicking John Cleese, high-stepping on the Monty Python sketch The Ministry of Silly Walks. It looked cooler with the groovy walk, Musk said. The engineer started making tweaks.
So yes, I have completed reading chapter 79 till the page 500. You can see this is 500. Okay, and from tomorrow, from chapter 80, I would start to read, and my goal would be to read 550 pages, I guess. Okay, 550. Only 150 pages are left, and I think I can do it. Okay, 115 pages are only left. 615, from 500 to 615. Okay, so yeah, that's it for today. See you tomorrow. Bye bye, take care, and keep reading.